All right, away we go. It is the nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com. Let's get this thing out in the Twitterverse and build us up a little listener base before we get going. Bearcats with an 83-55 win over ECU inside Fifth Third Arena. It was my night, Aaron. It was 90s at 9. I wasn't there, unfortunately.
They damn near scored 90.
They almost did. They played offense well enough. If they would have made some shots at the rim in the first half, might have scored 90. But as always, make sure you visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get yourself down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Nick, it's past all of our bedtimes. These 9 o'clock games are going to be the death of me. But they keep scheduling them. So I would much rather be doing like a 9:45 live nightcap. I would love that. That would be amazing. You're gonna have to get up in like 3 hours with the kid.
I looked at the schedule. There are no more 9 o'clock games at this point in time.
Is it. We had the 3-week run, unless something changes with TV. But we had the 3-week run of 3 straight, 2 home and 1 road, 9 p.m. tip-offs. And that is complete. So pretty much everything for the rest of the season. When they play midweek, it'll be 7 o'clock, and then we'll knock these things out at like 9:45. Whether I'm there or not, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like going live after home games, but I know when they play at home, I don't get back here until 10:15, so then 10:30, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But those are all semantics. It's better than going live at 11:41. I'll tell you that. But, Aaron, 83-55. The Bearcats started hot. They started hot. Landers Nolly with a couple threes in the opening segment. Jeremiah Davenport hit a couple after that. Josh Reed got hot. The ball moved. It didn't stick. David DeJulius had 12 assists. They had 20 assists on 31 made baskets. They dominated a very good rebounding team. I think this for me is the what stands out more than anything. 46-29. They out-rebounded East Carolina. East Carolina is one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the country. They missed 38 shots and got 6 offensive rebounds.
Not great.
Oh, great. For UC, great.
Yes, I'm saying not great for ECU.
For ECU, yeah. That's how they've been able to hang around against some of the better teams that they've played. Thank you, Steven. But the biggest thing for me, yes, look, Thrifty Walrus, I agree. The offense was beautiful tonight for a lot of for stretches.
Because it was unselfish basketball.
Yeah.
It was what we've asked for all season.
Hunter, well, it's what we've gotten for a lot of the season, but when they've not played well, it has stalled. When they played well, it's because the ball has moved. We've talked about that ad nauseum, right, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, it's every time they try to do hero ball, ISO ball, and that's slows the whole game down, slows their whole offense down, and things don't move the way that we want it to move. The ball does. It's not aesthetically pleasing, and it doesn't get points on the board.
Right. Move the ball. All of a sudden, everything seems to be a lot more fluid. Seems to happen a lot more in rhythm. And guys get to take in rhythm shots. And you know what happens with high-level Division I players? When they get to take rhythm shots, they make a lot more shots than when they're taking shots out of rhythm. But to me, Aaron, the thing that will not be talked about a lot that should be defense. This team is improving at a rapid level on the defensive end. At a rapid level. Like, even if you go back to Houston, Houston scored 73 points. I would say 12 of those points were off of careless mistakes on offense where Houston didn't have to play against the set defense.
Fast breaks.
Just turnovers for touchdowns. Like, just giving them points. But this is a team, and it kept flashing through my brain tonight. All the times at the beginning of the season when there were just uncontested layups, uncontested, like other teams doing what we saw Cincinnati do tonight. Ping, 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 the ball moved, wide open shot, get it out of the net. Let's try to outscore somebody. And that is not what's happening right now with this team, Aaron. Even, like I said, Houston, Temple was more of an offensive issue that I thought the offense was bad that night. I didn't think the defense was terrible. But we're starting to see improvement in these areas that we talked about being a major problem. Defense, number one. Rebounding, number two. And if you want to talk about, is this team getting better? Those were the two biggest things through the non-conference and into the start of conference play, where it was like, are they going to be able to get this figured out or not? And I'm starting, and there will be bumps in the road. This is far from a finished product. But they're playing defense at a much higher level than they were to start the season. The rebounding is starting to find some consistency. And dare I say it, Aaron, this team in front of our eyes is getting better.
I think that's a fair statement. I mean, a lesser Cincinnati team takes that loss against Houston and doesn't have a bounce back game the way they did against ECU tonight. They talked about it on the telecast both tonight at the beginning of the game and also against Houston, that a lot of teams after they play Houston have a hangover game where they're still not right after losing to Houston. So I don't know. I thought it was fantastic that they played lights out the way they did, both offensively and defensively tonight. Vic, while not huge on the stat sheet tonight, you talk about defense, he's really starting to become a problem on a team that we weren't sure we had anybody who was a rim protector. That guy
he's becoming a rim protector.
Yeah.
And it's not what you think about in terms of like, the long, bouncy, 6'11" guys that are only out there to block shots. He's doing it a little bit more timing. He's starting to have, you're seeing his feel for those situations elevate, because great shot blockers are great because they create distance, right? Like they don't let the guy driving get into their body, because when they get into their body, that's when you get fouls called. That's when big guys get in trouble. And Vic is doing a good job keeping a little space, being able to get his hands up and block shots. And that has been a big development for him. That has been a big growth area. And Wes talked a lot about it in the postgame tonight.
I love it when he puts the when he comes behind the guy and puts the ball off the backboard. I think that's the chase down block, if you will. Like, that's one of my favorite things that happens in a basketball.
And he's kind of doing it in half court now.
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting at. Where like he's not like in the beginning of the season, right? He was trying to jump that guy as he got into the lane. The guy was getting into his body. It was a foul. Next thing you know, Vic's in foul trouble. He's on the bench. Now he's understanding, like, that guy's 6'3". I can let him get a step on me and then just pin his shit off the backboard.
Yeah. Also, I mean, quick hands for Vic to tie the lead in steals for the game tonight. I mean, I don't know, just everything that he's doing.
He's got great hands. That little from behind when he caught that guy, that was maybe the most impressive play he made all game.
Yeah, so I don't know. We talk about how he is leveling up offensively. Again, not a great game for him offensively, but he made up for it in spades defensively.
Yeah.
Um, I know people are talking in the chat about Jeremiah Davenport. I think we have to address that. We've
Go
been
ahead.
we've
I'll let you have this one.
we've been critical on him, and I think that it was deservedly so.
I
That
don't think
said,
we've been critical though. I think we've been honest.
I think
Uh,
call it what you will.
but I think we haven't piled on here. Like we've been honest about when he does what he's been doing, he has a role. He is a valuable piece of this roster. A lot of people have shit on him
Yeah, neither of us were saying that.
unfairly.
Neither of us were saying he needs to be run off the court or we need to give his minutes away. We've talked about it. Like, who else are you going to give the minutes to, right?
Right.
And today he showed up. I mean, you said that he wanted to show that he can still be a starter, maybe. But I think the energy that he's providing right now off the bench is invaluable. Tonight he goes 28 minutes, 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 8 from three, had 6 rebounds, an assist, a block, a steal. He did everything, 16 points. I mean, he did everything that you could have wanted him to do coming off the bench. And to Thrifty Walrus's point, not a lot of guys take a benching, especially being the hometown kid, well. He played well, provided energy, and looked fully engaged for his guys. I agree. He has not lost. His body language has not shown I'm pissed about the way that this
anything.
Yeah.
His body language has been, I'm a team guy. And I'm out here pushing all of us to still be better, even though I probably could be an asshole. And I think that was probably the biggest concern when you talk about benching him, or I don't even think it's benching him. When you talk about like changing his role from what it had been, goddamn hiccups every time I start talking.
Unbelievable.
Anyhow, his demeanor has not suffered. He has been engaged and bought in and trying to help his team. He did that against Houston. We talked about it after the Houston game. He took good shots. He just didn't hit them.
Yeah.
Tonight he took good shots and they went. And once they went, I think that's the biggest thing for me, Aaron. Once Landers got a couple early, but I didn't feel like that's what set off what happened the rest of the second half. It felt like once JD got those 2 to go down, everybody else was like, oh, let's party.
Yeah, well,
Landers got 2, then JD got 2, then Josh got 2, Micah hit 1. Like all of a sudden, everybody was just throwing a beach ball in the ocean.
He's the pulse of this team. As he goes, this team goes, and that's not a new thing. That's been something that's been going on this team for years now. We've talked about it since his freshman year that he has been just the energy for this team. So you definitely love to see him have a huge game tonight.
Thrifty was apparently a big fan of Rob Banks starting over Tari Eason.
Unbelievable. Again, unbelievable.
I had to, Thrifty. You left that wide open. Holly, how you doing? It sure did feel like a party. It was so much fun to listen and watch it tonight. Holly, don't rub that in. I didn't get to be there for 90s and 9. Of all the people that should have been there for 90s and 9, it's me. I feel like I should have consulted E-Train on the playlist. I live that shit.
You could have texted him.
I could have. But Jeremiah, his energy could be the key to this team reaching their potential. Because he hasn't sulked, he hasn't pouted, and he hasn't, more importantly, he hasn't divided the locker room because his role was changed.
Oh,
he's bought into the fact that I can be the leader of the second unit, right?
Absolutely. I think that you saw that tonight firsthand. I mean, you could almost make the same argument for Kalu on a far lesser degree, but to go from starting starting at the beginning of the season, he could have mailed this shit in. It's my senior season.
He could have sold all his shit on Craigslist and bought a plane ticket to Spain.
Isn't that what homeboy from Colgate did last year?
That wasn't him. That was the dude from Valpo that was from Spain in Brandon's first year. Just in the middle of the night, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell the coaching staff.
I forgot about that guy. Yeah,
Jay Cirola, I think was his name. He literally did that. He put his car on Craigslist, sold his car, went to Chicago, caught a flight to Spain, and just ghosted everybody.
That's nuts.
Toyota Corolla or whatever his name was. Kalu could have quit. Like, he could have easily said, I didn't sign up for this. Fuck this. I'm out. I'm not doing this shit. I didn't come here to be the 13th guy. Like,
his little bunny he took at the end of the game to score his 2 points.
That wasn't a bunny. That was a 17-footer.
I mean, but he almost had like the Dirk leg kick.
Yeah.
The knee up leg kick. It looked clean.
Well, that's the thing is his game is offense. So if you can get him up to speed where he can potentially back up Vic a little bit more and give you 6, 7, 8 minutes at the 5, where Odie can focus on the 4, and you get even a little bit more defined in what you can do rotationally, that could be huge. Could be huge. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Like, if John Newman and Rob Finney come back, like what that does to the flow of what they built rotationally. It sounds like John, from listening to Wes, it sounds like John is still kind of a ways away, but I think Rob might be a little bit closer, just from hearing some things over the past week and listening to Wes's press conferences. Rob might be a little bit closer to making that happen. So, maybe you get an extra body, like a fresh set of legs, a fresh defender going into the second half of the conference schedule. Like, that can't be a bad thing either.
Especially for a team that's already starting to figure out defense.
Yeah. I just overall, man, super pleased with tonight. Super happy with what they showed tonight, with the way that they played. They could have been woe is me after that Houston game, and they did not look dejected or frustrated or complacent or whatever adjective you want to use. They look like, look, man, we're better than what we showed, even though we showed pretty well against Houston. Like, we didn't allow them to like punk us like they did SMU. But instead, they came out and they were the aggressor. They were crisp. They played great defense. They moved the ball. They played really, really good offense over a lot of different stretches of this game. I just, like, this team has to feel pretty good about their bounce back after that Houston game.
Yeah, it was probably Josh Reed's best game as a Bearcat. Landers Nolly, while it was not, I don't think it was his best game as a Bearcat. I think Arizona probably was. But he had a double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. David DeJulius had a double-double.
Thank you. That was a credit to the scorers table also, because if you saw when Wes subbed Landers out,
he said 1.
He was at 20 and 9, and then they gave him a rebound that wasn't given to him yet at that point in time, and he got 20 and 10. So he got his double-double. That's why he was messing with Wes on his way off the floor. He wanted his one more rebound to get his double-double.
But David DeJulius also had a double-double, 11 points, 12 assists.
Tied his career high in assists, 12.
Just everything that you want out of senior leadership tonight. Just firing on all cylinders with those guys.
That's what I'm talking about, Thrifty Walrus. That's exactly what I'm kind of getting at here. They let that Arizona. Well, they won. Maui kind of did them no favors, making them play that last game and then having to turn around and play a physical Ohio State team in like 16 hours.
Yeah.
After they sprinted up and down the floor all night against Arizona.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're starting to understand shit happens. And this is what I talked about, like in some of that stretch where they were having really inconsistent performances game to game. They're too old for that. Like this team is too old to be inconsistent. And now it looks like they're starting to turn the corner where, they're not letting a bad loss or a bad performance, get them down. Now, turn the page. You got another 2 games on the road against 2 teams you should beat.
Yeah, you got SMU, and we know Houston dog walked SMU.
But SMU just scored 85 tonight, I think, in their game.
Followed by South Florida.
And South Florida had the lead on Houston tonight, late in the game, in the second half. And then Houston did Houston things at the end and took over, down the stretch. But those are 2 teams that if you don't play well, if they do the things that we have seen be problems, if they don't play well, you're going to be in trouble in both of those places. If they come out and play like we know they're capable of playing, like we saw them play at Wichita State, like we saw them play for stretches against Houston, but not enough, and then like we saw them play tonight, they're going to be on a 3-game winning streak when they come back home.
Man, that would be nice.
Consistency, Aaron.
Nice.
If this team can find a little consistency, I think we all agree this team has enough weapons, right? Like that's what was the frustration last year. There were no weapons. There was Dave, and then there was Jeremiah if you caught him on a good night.
Yeah.
And that was it. It. Vic wasn't ready. No. Micah was in a role that was too much for him. Like at that point, they didn't have any counterpunch. And there are going to be nights where you have 2 or 3 or 4 of your main guys not play up to their offensive potential. But how do you win those games? You play defense, you rebound, and you show the type of toughness that they showed here over this Wichita State, Houston, and then tonight ECU stretch. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can win those 2 games against SMU and South Florida and go and then get Memphis at home, maybe you're on enough of a roll at that point where
Memphis is good, but Memphis is beatable. Memphis is not by any stretch Houston.
Well, and we have a counterpunch for Memphis that we've not had against Memphis prior to Landers Nolly getting here.
Thank you, Memphis, for disrespecting the ability of Landers Nolly. The vibes are immaculate tonight. Kudos to them. I agree, Andrew. Like it felt good. And then, there were some people, it was a 27-point game. It got down to 18 or so. And everybody's like, oh, are they going to let them back in it? And then boom, pushed it back out over 25 and then cruised to the finish line. Yeah. But the threes thing, Andrew, doesn't hurt to hit all your threes to start the game. You're much more likely to hit all your threes when you're taking good ones. And when you're moving the ball, and the ball was popping tonight. Ping, 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 open shot. Like that's, instead of just bring it up the floor, pass it to the wing, try to work an ISO off a ball screen.
No lazy passes.
There were a couple I didn't like, but not
Jeremiah Davenport lob trying to get it over somebody, and they're like,
"Here, would you like a dunk? We would like to give you a dunk. We've been playing well for 4 minutes. How about we give you a dunk just to even things out?" There wasn't any of that. I agree. first games we played better than the sum of our players this year. Everyone was gelling and working together in a way we hadn't seen yet. They've had what, 8 50-point halves or 49-point halves this year. So I don't fully agree there, Thrifty. But what makes this different than what we saw when they were doing that is they were just trading baskets in a lot of those stretches, right? They were scoring 49 and a half, but the other team was scoring 42 or 54. Like now, what was ECU scored 25 in the first half and 30 in the second, with the guy kind of losing his mind. You know, Small
Javon
had
Small,
23 points.
Yeah.
But 17 of those were in the second half. He scored 17 of their 30 second half points.
23 points and 5 assists.
Yeah, like he's really good.
He's really good.
He's going to look pretty good playing somewhere else next year. They played as a team, and that's the best thing I can say, Holly, that I would agree with. They played defense, they rebounded, they moved the ball, they made shots. They definitely, like, this was, if it wasn't their top overall performance of the season, this was a top 3, like, hitting all the different boxes, right?
Well, yeah.
The bench scored.
Everyone was involved in this win, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can look at anybody who logged minutes outside of CJ Anthony and Chase Kirkwood, who came in at the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, even Kalu he played meaningful. It was, albeit 4 minutes, but they were meaningful 4 minutes. When he was out there, he was doing things. He wasn't looking like he did not belong, square peg, round hole.
Right.
So it was just, and I agree with everybody. I think you get done with watching a game like this, whether you were there in person or watching it on TV, and you just feel good about the team and the direction they're trending. Like, this is a game where it's not just a little slope up; it's a high slope up in the direction that they're trending.
It's an interesting point. I think you're probably onto something lighter. JD's shooting off the catch and not shooting off the dribble.
I've said that 100 times. Yeah. He's a catch and shoot guy. Yeah, I don't want the ball to touch the floor in his hands unless he's helping bring it up court.
Andrew, I noticed that possession on Kalu where he did have his guy sealed. I didn't think they had a good angle for the entry, where if you threw it, it probably would have put him in a disadvantageous situation. But he's working hard. And again, that's what you want from him, and his, limited right now 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Come in, work your ass off, give yourself an opportunity to make an impact. And guess what? If you do that, maybe you find yourself 8 minutes. Maybe you find yourself 9 minutes.
It's a testament, though, to the culture that Wes is building on this team.
Yes.
And like, there weren't any questions asked about culture in any of the last press conferences that I've seen, but you can see this happening. And that's culture is how you keep guys like Davenport from flipping his shit about being benched his senior year. That's how you keep guys from, like Kalu, from leaving the team his senior year because he got benched. Like, that's the difference, I think, between this regime and what we have had in place in the last couple of years.
I think the biggest thing with JD is convincing him that, look, we want you to be the guy off the bench. In the starting lineup, we've got to get Dave going. We got to get Landers going. We got to get Vic going. If you come in behind that, we can get you going. Because now everybody is, everybody's kind of, the defense has got their, like, scouting report. We got to do this to take away Landers. We got to run 2 guys at Dave. We got to get Vic, out of the spot. And then all of a sudden, JD can come in, and people aren't. Oh crap! Shit! Late closeout 3, because they're worrying about the other things that are being established before he checks into the game, and he's bought into that, and that's a credit to Wes. That's what you're saying. I just I wanted to expand on it a little bit.
As long as he doesn't dribble, then he hits those threes.
All right, a fantastic 30-minute live nightcap here. I'd go all night, but I've got to get up and hopefully get Kelly from her ICU back to her room tomorrow.
There's only so much you can say about a 30-point blowout against ECU.
Yeah, and Aaron's got to get up at 2:30 in the morning and feed a baby,
and again at 5,
and again at 7:30.
7, 8, yeah.
So go get some rest, buddy. That was a good win for the Bearcats tonight. It was fun to watch. They played well. They got the job done. And we'll see you tomorrow night. I think we're going 7:15, 7:30 on the BCJ pod. And then a big guest tomorrow night on the Rocket Truth. So it's going to be a fun Thursday. Stay with us. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!